It is Progress Racing. It is Show Us Your Tips. We're here on a Tuesday evening to look toward Geelong Cup Day, the traditional lead up to the Melbourne Cup, as well as a bit of racing at Kenso. Beaver, how did the brilliant day of racing, I thought, Everest Day and Caulfield Cup Day treat you?
Pretty good, mate. It's a bit of a slow start to the day, but that's when some of the average races were. But by the time we got to the middle of the day, I loomed up, made a good run, and finished off the race very strongly. So I think Nature Boy, who was on Nature Strip, so I was pretty happy with that result. Incentivise was just outstanding. Fantastic win. What else? Were we all over there for the day, mate? So I think there was a fair few
Go through
around that middle part of the
I
day.
thought, started slow, but geez, came home well. Nature Strip, Incentivise. We all suggested, and by the time we got to $6, the thing in the last was an amazing bet.
Promise of Success. That was my best bet of the day.
It was.
Yes, I couldn't believe it got out to that, and was a great run. It was a tremendous run, as well. So I was pretty happy. I think overall the day finished quite well for us.
I would think if people followed the show, they would have had a good day. Put it that way.
Yeah,
and Gumpy,
I know I didn't.
Gumpy was not anywhere near Nature Strip, and he asked us to thank him for that. But a decent enough debut.
I think both you and Gumpy tipped out Cadeau, which snuck home. It was a good day. It was a good day overall.
Absolutely. How good's Incentivise? Is the cup over?
Oh, cup's over, isn't it? I just don't think that weight can stop it. I think we all said that if it won B3 or more, that it'd go straight to the cup. And there's no horse in that race that's going to get past it. So you'd be looking outside of that. The further they went, the further it looked like it was going to go away from them.
Yeah,
it's just bomb-proof.
Wide on the bends at Caulfield as well, and just everything it did was.
Yeah, it was a bit amazing, right? I think you're right about the 800 when it looked to go 3 wide. I went, oh, this is going to have to be a sustained run.
Yeah,
this is a little bit.
It was a funny run because you didn't feel comfortable for a lot of it. A lot of it, I was like, oh, wow. It was almost. I don't say it was a slaughter, but it just kept him out of trouble, and yeah.
Yeah, and then it just went round him at the top of the straight when it bang, bang. It was just all over. I was kind of looking around that 800, 600. Is there anything coming from the pack? No, something's got to come soon. These ones been going hard early, and no, it didn't eventuate. But outstanding, just amazing from a horse to come from where it has to where it is so quickly. Looking forward to seeing it in the cup, to be honest.
Yeah, it might be one of the best cup bets we've had in a while. Because I think in Cup Day, once all the money starts flowing into the pools, you're still going to get $3. You're still going to be able to have a really good bet and be quite comfortable.
I think that's right.
I think.
Yes.
Because I don't. Off the top of my, obviously Twilight Payments back, but there's nothing else coming from overseas that I would be terrified of, and it's a very easy bet to have. I'm just trying to think through the rest of the day. Is there anything you want to fly out the rest of the day? To be honest, we talked about it before, and the rest of the day was an average card, and won't really stack up for the rest of spring, apart from obviously the Everest itself. If Nature Strip goes down to whatever the features are, the VSE Classic, whatever it's called these days, it's going to be hard to beat. I thought it was a tremendous win. The more I've since heard and seen how the times all stacked up, it was just an outstanding performance from Nature Strip, is how you read it. And that was incredible. They were tearing down the grandstand at Randwick, I've heard, and good to see.
It was fantastic to hear the noise and the 10,000 crowd. See people back on track. The noise was outstanding. The atmosphere was outstanding, and it was fantastic for racing. Hats off to the crowd. Hats off to the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, hopefully the rest of Australia can all join us soon in Sydney. But we head to Geelong Cup Day, as we said, which is the traditional, the last ticket into the Melbourne Cup, or whatever's even left of the Melbourne Cup these days. Just for old time's sake, sitting in the studio, we did the first ever Show Us Your Tips show in at Club Trev, and 112 shows ago, Beaver. So there you go. That's how long we've been doing this. And I think you'd find our record stacks up pretty good along the time. We found plenty of winners in those couple of years. So let's head to Geelong there, where it is. There is rain coming both Sydney and Melbourne, but for now it's a good track, and the rail is in the true. Geelong tends to play. Well, I've treated it as fair. You know, runners can run on. By the end of the day, there might be swoopers, but I'm treating this as all fair for the afternoon. And we kick off with the benchmark 70 over the 2,400 metres. How are you starting us off here?
Yeah, tricky little affair to start the day, the 2,400. I'm going to go for Point Nepean, the Hitmont import, Irish import. Won its very first start on soft going, and then struggled a bit at its next start, but comes here with plenty of potential. It's only had the 2 starts, interestingly enough.
That start was a listed European race and started $7. So
yes, so it's obviously got a bit of ability, and I think it can win this race. I think the main danger is Grey Khan. I think Grey Khan's going really well. It should get a pretty soft lead here and be able to control the race. Gets the 3 kilo claim that obviously gives it a bit more, bit less to carry. So I thought it was the main danger, but Point Nepean here to knock these over.
Yeah, agree. I looked at this race, felt sick for a bit, and then just found Point Nepean and thought, well, it's different form from. And we've talked about a lot of these doing not much else. Second in markets, Chains of Honour, who we have a feel from Sydney, who offers not a lot, no heights. I thought it's been disappointing since his resumption, so I was left with the fresh blood that if it's got half a bit of talent and it's anywhere near listed European form, it'll beat these and maybe going for something a little bit better towards the back end of spring. So happy to kick it off with Point Nepean, and pretty comfortably actually at the price. Race 2 is a 1,700 metre benchmark 70 as well, where I was, look, I mentioned it last time, Coolth, last chance here, pulled up lame in town, out to the distance, mucus, blah, 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 plenty of excuses, comes back in. This is an average race. I couldn't look at any of the horse. If this has any talent at all, Coolth should win this race. Gate 1 is a tick over the distance. The only other possible danger was Vitruvius, who ran home quite well last start. Not interested in Predatoire going from wet back to dry. And I, to be honest, didn't even look at a lot more apart from that. So I think if Coolth's ever going to win another race, this could be it. Beaver, what are you thinking?
Yeah, fair shout. I'm going to go for Vitruvius from the Paulie Pruska stable. Third up, gets out to now 1,700. Pretty good with the stayers. I think it's the improving type here. Coolth, I just can't bring myself to it, particularly with 62 kilos. So I'm going to go for Vitruvius to continue to improve.
Race 3, the 1,400 metre benchmark 64. How's this for a race? This is.
Oh yeah, beauty, isn't it?
Have you got an answer to this race, or?
Oh yeah, probably stay out of it is probably my answer.
I think that's a smart option.
Look, the only thing I kind of looked for was both Confrontational and Part-Time Lover. Ran second and third behind Saltpeter last start, who came out on the weekend and franked that form. So about $6.50 and $11 might be a bit of a saver on either of those.
Yeah, now I actually ended up looking at the same form line, and Part-Time Lover was actually quite good chasing Saltpeter, and obviously that form stacked up. And the only one outside of them I did look at was Derive, who is a horse I think you found a couple of times last prep, and returned in pretty good order, but it just got that stink of one win from whatever 10 starts or whatever it's been, or a bit more than that, and one from 11, which turned me off a little bit. So I end up back, I think Part-Time Lover, if you're going to have an each way bet, is the way to go. And Confrontational is over the odds. I can't add a lot more there. We've sort of looked through a lot of these horses over their journeys into their racing career. Race 4 is the 1,100 metre benchmark 64. Does this get any easier for you?
Not really, to be brutally honest. I settled on Cool Shot.
Mm.
It led last start and held on and won quite well. It can handle both soft and softer tracks and the drier tracks. If it gets too much, if it gets a fair bit of rain, certainly probably like it even more. Thought the main danger was Castile from resuming from the Snowden stable. Won its first start, was fourth at its next, was okay before Spelden being turned back in here. It could be a danger.
I end up coming back to Impressive Last, who came through I think it was the Claire Cunningham stable up in Sydney. Ran in some okay races, has some reasonable Sydney form. Didn't win a lot, but has now gone to Philip Stokes, who, with all due respect, I'd argue is a better stable. And it's had a couple of good jump outs down south. Last one chased Oxley Road. Obviously, that form stuck out pretty well. Comes back to benchmark 64 land down south, and I think around the $5 mark is an easy enough bet for me to have here. And anyone I really looked at, I thought Cool Shot is going wet to dry. And you mentioned Castile, but yeah, I don't know about those sort of year-long Snowden horses down there. So just, fresh blood here, I thought was a reasonable each way bet. Race 5 is the 1,200 meter benchmark 84. Again, this isn't much easier. What are you thinking?
Oh no, I thought this was a little bit easier. I thought the $3.50 favourite here, Cristani, looks really hard to beat. I'm surprised it's $3.50. Was fourth at Caulfield last start, a length behind Dirty Thoughts and the Gouch. It's $7 in that's a pretty reasonable form for a race like this. They'd both be winning this fairly
And had to
comfortable.
come wide on Caulfield there, and it was a really good run.
Yeah, and it's drawn at the 6 here, so it's drawn to get a much better run with 54 kilos on its back. I thought that's outstanding form for a race like this. And prior to that, won at Sandown, beating Narvaez, which is reasonable enough form to be performing well in a race like this. Outside of that, the next couple in the market are resuming, and Lita hasn't shown anything for a long time. So just on the basis of form and fitness, Christini for me over some of the resumings.
Yeah, no, on top for me as well. You've summed it up pretty well. Vongole I tried to go looking for, but was very ordinary last start, and is another one from I think 10 or 12 races there. And I didn't think the jump outs of River Twain were that great. Was ridden out to have to win a jump out, and Crestani's coming from a flashing light run at Caulfield. So yeah, summed up quite well there. The race, I was going to say the Group 3 for the 3-year-olds, race number 6, Geelong Classic is next. Kicks us off in the quaddy. Essentially, it's another midweek race, really. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, there's 3 horses here that are all sort of $5 favourites and a $6 or $7 favourite. Open affair here. I've landed on the lightly raced King of Pharaohs from the Smith stable. Only grabbed late last start and was a very nice run at Ballarat. Beaten by Rock the Bowler. Prior to that, was pretty good as an odds-on one by 9 lengths, albeit at Coleraine. That's still a nice little win to win any race by 9 lengths. The blinkers go off here, which is interesting, getting out to the 2200. So hopefully that will help, and it might be just looking for this distance. King of Pharaohs for me on top.
I actually went. What would South be? No, I went to South Australia here. I went to Max Fire. It led up the listed race last time. The staying contest there. It now gets Damien Oliver on board. It gets control of this race. And I don't think there's many chases here. Beat home Black Comb, who was closely tied to Barb Raider, who I think will run well Moonee Valley on Friday night when we get there.
Yep.
And well, like, who's going to chase it? I just, doing my default here, where I default to a land of no chasers and looking for the leader. And especially at the staying trip, it sometimes gets magnified. This Tutakaka we talked about back in the Winter Carnival, it's been pretty ordinary since it's come down. And beyond that, they're all very average midweek horses, which we'll probably not talk much about beyond Tuesday previews in 12 months' time. And this will be on the lead at least. I don't, I understand what you're saying about King of Pharaohs, but I just went to the leader and thought it might run well. Race number 7, the Geelong Cup, the Group 2 over the 2,400 metres. Ticket in the Melbourne Cup, being won by fantastic horses like American and Dunedain and all those sort of horses. There is none of them here. This is what we get when we whinge about international horses taking over our spring carnival. We get these sort of races, Beaver. And does it excite you at all?
Doesn't excite me a great deal, no. Pretty
You
ordinary
want to
affair,
bet
to be
into it?
honest.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, you usually get a few overseas horses that start here and make the race quite interesting, which we don't have this year, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Charlie Rose was obviously probably a little bit skinny, odds
I
on at
think
the
so.
moment. In this type of affair, obviously, it's had some pretty good form of late. Just on the price, I went for Defibrillate. I think it's going well enough. Both its last 2 fourths have been nice enough races. Ran 3 lengths behind Delphi last start, was finishing off nicely, and then the start before was finishing off nicely as well in a race by Secret Blaze, and then was second over the shorter behind Floating Artist at Flemington. So I think it's got good enough form this prep to show up here, and was certainly prior to that in previous preps has been a really good stayer. So based on that, I think the $8.50 is worth a play.
Fair enough. I thought, obviously, Charlie, it's now odds on Charlie, which, look, I think Charlie, with all respect to it, it's a bit of a plotter. So I actually have on top number 12, Bartholomew Diaz. It's 30-1. It resumed with a win, put out for another trial, came back, ran okay in a Heatherly, then was just peaked on its fitness, beaten by Starcaster at Benalla in a Benalla Cap. But honestly, race is a very average race. It has decent form over this distance, a bit fitter, and it's 30-1. I'm happy to find out with putting that on top. As I said, Charlie and Defibrillator are the two obvious ones, but this is just a Saturday benchmark 80, whatever. It's probably benchmark 90 if you look at the handicap. But there's nothing impressive about this, and I'm happy to spec a winner. At least horse that's won enough over distance at 30s and put it on top. Don't want to talk much more about this. Not really, because it doesn't matter. Incentivized will kick whichever one wins in the main event. Race 8 is the Black Pearl listed race over 1,200 meters. Beaver, any more clarity?
Yeah, I like How Romantic here. First up was pretty good, and this is a pretty average race. How Romantic's much better horse than these, and will be winning $3, good price. Probably my best bet of the day.
Yeah, it's funny over the course of this whole Geelong Cup card. Like in years gone by, this has been a better card. The Classic's been better. You usually get a Derby contender come through. Obviously, you get the internationals, and in this race, usually a little bit stronger as well. But yeah, How Romantic is pretty obvious. I think it returned to a bit of form. Had that average prep last time, returned to form. Chasing first up, the two I'll mention away from that, Belle Plaisir is $12 and won a listed New Zealand race last start, and it was pretty good winning before that. And then the trial was really good in between. And the other one was Cordelia. It's not a first up necessary horse, but off about 150-day spell. Talent horse. It is a better horse than most of these Cordelia, and it can probably run well fresh here. But agree with you, Romantic on top, and the other two hopefully can make up the placings for us. We wrap that A up with a benchmark 78 over the 1,500 meters. How are you wrapping us up here at Geelong?
Yeah, look, I'm going to go for number 16 down in the weights. Hickok. around the $8 mark. Liked its win last start. Was ridden more quietly and got back, but actually came home quite well. Beat a fairly decent horse in Flying Mascot. So I thought it could run a really nice race. It's drawn 14, so I'll go back again if they're able to finish it off. And they're coming down the middle of the track towards the end of the day. I think it can give us a bit of a sight.
Cool. I ended the day with 5th position. It was heavily backed before it went out at Caulfield. I think everyone and its dog was tipping it to us. A few months back at Caulfield. The trial, it's had 2 jump outs since where it's run quite well. The first jump out was very impressive. He had the jockey doing the old Pateman perv, looking through his legs back at the rest of the field. But he comes here to an average 78, and I think could run well if it's got any talent. And like we said about Hickok, because I couldn't find anything else apart from that, so happy to end a day with those 2 chances. For progretracing.com.au, check them out for your free tips and extensive guides, your best in value at Geelong, Beaver.
Yeah, look, my value is going to come up in the last at $8. Hickok, race 9, number 16. And my best bet's going to be race 8, number 3, How Romantic.
Beautiful. I'm going to make my best 5th position last in a card I struggled to actually find a best. I think fifth position will run really well. And my value, I'll make it Bartholomew Diaz in the Cup because I think it'll run much better than the 30-1. Let's head to Kenso, where it is the rain was supposed to come, hasn't come yet tonight. The track is in the 4-meter mark. Oh, I don't know if we'll get much rain tomorrow either. But I think it'll be typical Kenso, on pace early, down the outside late. They may even have underwatered it given all of that, and it may be on pace, which will throw a few of my tips into a little bit of jeopardy. But we'll see how that plays. We kick off. It's an interesting card because I think we can stamp a few through the middle here, but we'll see if we agree or not. We kick off with a maiden where I don't know if you can stamp anything over the 1,400 meters. With the army of Waller runners, I'm not particularly keen to bet, but I thought Parlayed was ridden out but showed a little bit of ability, and from the Hawks camp in those colours might be one that can upset these. But once I start falling into these sort of trials, and a lot of these Waller horses have 4 or 5 trials before they even come to the races, I don't know what to make of that. So apart from maybe a small each way bet on Parlayed, I don't have much to add. What are you thinking, Beaver?
I've landed on Verbeek only because I didn't mind its run last start at Goulburn. I don't mind sometimes the Goulburn form coming here. It got too far out of its ground and finished off nicely at pretty skinny odds, way too skinny odds. That sometimes happens. They skinny odds and then they back up next start after being a really short price favourite when they run second and come out and win. I expect it's got a bit of ability and gets out to 1,400 here, which will suit. So I'm going to stick with it.
Cool. Race 2 is a 1,400 meter benchmark 68. What are you thinking?
Yeah, look, this is a tricky little race. I landed on Bend the Knee. I thought it was a really good run at Newcastle first up. This preparation set off the pace and went past them quite nicely. Strips a bit fitter here, drawn well enough and hard to beat.
I was really hoping you'd say Conrad was a good thing because I got a bit confused and I ended up coming back to Conrad, and I've liked its last win, and I liked its win before that. It did start $3 in a group race in between, and I like Alicia Cold on board. But then I was sort of confused by both Bend and Snits on Fire. Snits on Fire, I don't know what it quite offers, given it's had maybe you could argue an advantaged track both times, but as won well enough both. And Bend and E, what it bought was, I didn't know where to line that up. So I was hoping for more clarity from you, but I'm got Conrad on top from Snits on Fire, from Bend the Knee. But a good race. We're going to learn more about this afterwards, I suppose. Race 3, the 800 meter benchmark 72. I think we've got a little bit more clarity through these next couple here. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think Mighty Beale looks pretty hard to beat here. Very nice bet. Not a lot to say other than $2.50 is a reasonable price and should just be sitting behind Jojo and go past him.
Yeah, agree. It proved itself to me last start. Week makes the same field and gets a great barrier draw for this sort of race, so it'll just round him up and win here. Race 4, the 1,000-meter benchmark 72 is next, where I think I'm going to stamp the same with Delexo. I think it's flying. I think it comes to town finally, and comes to town again. Foxfighter, I was giving a great chance to, and maybe didn't have right to advantage on Saturday. And Gate One's going to bounce straight into pace and be very hard to beat over 1,000 meters. Think it will win this. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I tend to feel the same way here, mate. Looks to have a little bit of ability, this horse. I think this isn't a very strong field. Gate One suits, collar to board. I really like that.
Cool. Race 5, the 1,550 benchmark 72. How are you lining these up?
Same again here. I think the Denzel finally broke through last start with a pretty impressive win. Jumped to the front, never looked like getting beaten, and just powered away at the end. Probably could have won by more, to be honest. Now it's broken through. I expect it to continue on its winning ways, and just say probably close to the best bet of the day.
Agree. I don't have much more to add. Now it's got a breakthrough. I think it can springboard, and it's not like anything he's really trying to shake us up to give us any doubt. So yeah, happy to be with Denzel as well at about the $2.30 mark. Race 6 is the 1,550 again, benchmark 72. A few resumers here. Tricky little affair for the girls. Any thoughts?
Just scrolling over here, mate, as my computer takes a bit of time. Yeah, look, I just looking at my notes here, didn't have a great deal with this race. I thought this was probably the trickiest race on the day here. I kind of just went for the Waterhouse spot Vitarosa. I was a bit concerned last run. Was a bit ordinary behind Papali, but I thought here might just jump to the front and get some control of the race and prove hard to beat sometimes in these races where it's hard to line them up. Sometimes I just prefer to go to something that jumps to the front and see if it can give us a sight.
Yeah, normally I'd do the same, but I thought it was a little bit disappointing last start. But I respect the fact you've joined a club of finding leaders. It's good. I have no confidence here at all, but I sort of Good Omens trials were okay. I think it's a slug, but I just thought fresh. A couple of okay trials. If it's going to win a race, it might be fresh here, but I didn't know where else to go. So for the sake of putting a tip in Good Omens first up, the fact he's resumed it at nearly the mile. We'll see what it brings, but we should just move on from this race, to be honest. Race 7, the 1,300-meter benchmark 72. Interesting little race, actually, to finish the day. Le Vizier I think we all missed it. It was a tremendous win first up. I can produce the same again here. And happy to back it. And there's a couple I'll have a saver on at 20s. Zoo Mist is a horse I've always made a case for, and has always been written quiet and not, perhaps not performed. It was really ridden out in a trial. It's gone to the Friedman yard, who are freaks at here for whatever reason. Richard Friedman's a freak at getting these horses going. So happy to have a small bet on it at the 30s. And Rubanos did win a trial on a synthetic down the outside, and again at 30s, lightly raced. Did win first up last prep. So that'd be the other couple in this race. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I went the same as you. Le Bizarre looks super hard to beat. Again, a lot to like about its first up run. Not sure if Conrad will come here or go to the other race. It could present to be, like it will in the other race, one of the main dangers. I think it'll run well wherever it goes. If it comes out, I suspect Le Bizarre will finish about 5-4, 6-4. It'll shorten quite substantially in the market.
Out, yeah.
So, yeah, I think it looks another really good bet. On the day, I think there's, as you said, there's probably four really nice bets on the day. And if you get 3 out of those 4, you're going to finish in front.
I think so. For progretracing.com.au, your best in value at Kenso.
Yeah, look, I didn't really have a value bet, to be honest, Daggy. I think the Denzel is the best bet on the day, race 5, number 9. And I'll back that up with the one in the last, race 7, number 2, Le Bizarre. I think both of those should be winning.
No, that's cool. I agree. I had Mighty Bill as my best. In terms of value, a couple in the last, Zoomist and Rubanos are both. If we don't want to back it 20s or 30s on a day, there'd be the one or both of the two. But I didn't have anything else I could really stamp. Have you got anything for us up in Queensland?
Yeah, I do, mate. I've got 3 up at the Ippy. Race 1, number 2. That feels better. Should be winning.
Mm-hmm.
I thought race 4, number 2, Nikki's Spirit. Third up, one last start. I think it'll be hard to beat. And then in the last race, race 7, Smart Star Prince from the Van Dyke stable. Should be winning as well.
Beautiful.
So 3 up at Ipswich to add to the bank.
Perfect. And get us set up for Cox Plate Day, which is ahead of us. We'll be back Thursday night to look forward to that, or Friday morning. Look forward to that in the Manikato, which looks like another pretty ordinary sprint race. But the Cox Plate is coming up, and excited to talk about it with you, Beaver. I look forward to talking for about 10 minutes about how Animos are moral, but we'll save all the rest of that for Thursday night. Good punning, guys, and we will talk to you soon.